it's all time for me to go. Like I dive deep. Like I'm last week night with the flow here. Johnny boy, my peeps. I'm an infotainment state. My brain ain't contained. Shit keeps spilling out. I'm belligerent insane. My drink don't stay in place. That shit's in my I'm just two girls, one company. Keep it hipster like succulents. My main bitch be a succubus. Swear I'm better than younger, but I'm still just as hungry. I could eat the whole country. Contrary to what you see. More than the fat Asian gay man. I'm more like Rayman. Way I'm running and running. Don't fuck with my Ray-Bans. Swear I'm stunner shade stunting. Your bitch come over, she coming. My face be like a couch cushion. Yeah, stick around and you'll find some real change. I'm so OA. I got Obama behind me. I'm Vinny Chase. I put that drama behind me. I'm so sweet face. Got your mama behind me. She's strapped, but not in the way that you think. I think I'll start up my day. I think I'll move a few units. I think I'll keep that shit moving like YouTube kitten view counters. I'm done being a down. I think I'll make satire instead. I'll blindly throw around every ugly word in my head. Moist! Smegma on Smeagol's head. Baby, give me my precious. Praise be Jesus, yeah. Looking good with no shirt and thorn necklace. Or is it a crown? Either way down, but you just a pound. Sorry, didn't mean to piss off a cold. Stuck in youth and revolt. Without a cause, a rebel in love with applause. Like narcissism, I got. Like the life is all there is. Like the follow count your soul. But I'm a jaded asshole. It's cause I ain't known. Cause all these systems in place keep a place inside these bowls. Like we all fish saying this is water, this is water. Praise to David Foster. I'm a stained infinite jester. Manifest destiny. Precursor, sorry to all I leave dead. Fuck all the rest of me. Swear one day I'll get out of my head, but until then, I'll be singing. I'm so OA. I got Obama behind me. I'm Vinny Chase. I put that drama behind me. I'm so sweet face. Got your mama behind me. She's strapped, but not in the way that you think.
Well, here we are. It is 2 days after the halving. How do you pronounce that? Is it the halving? The halving? Halving? I want to put another en in there. Halving. But I guess that would be wrong, right? It's the halving. Sounds like the quickening. Bitcoin. You disappoint once again. You know, I was looking at some statistics on hash rate by region, demographic, power usage, all of that. And it confirms some of the things that make me suspect of Bitcoin as a long-term solution. And the biggest is the large role that that was a Freudian slip, that China plays in Bitcoin. China, by far, has more compute power dedicated to Bitcoin than any other country. And that doesn't concern you. Man, how can that be? How can that possibly be? It's okay. It's okay, China. Yeah, I feel just fine putting my tens of thousands or even millions of dollars in the hands of China, the people who brought us a world pandemic. All right, let's see what we have here for Bitcoin pricing. BTC, USD. There we go. Ah, we got a little tail back up. Look at that. Bitcoin is on the move again. Oh, it's to the moon now, Alice. To the moon. That's way, way before most of your times. To the moon, Alice. That's Jackie Gleason in The Honeymooners. He used to say that to his wife. To the moon, Alice. Yep, that should be the new meme for Bitcoin. To the moon, Alice. Got to add Alice in there. Man, look at that. It's trying to make a little bit of a rooster tail in there. I see Bitcoin going down. It was definitely a sell the news moment. You know, the other thing I was looking up was previous halvings. The last halving. The last halving. I'm not going to get that right. The last halving happened in, 4 years from now, 4 years earlier. And at that time, it went from 25 Bitcoin reward for producing a block down to 12.5 Bitcoin. That reward in U.S. terms was worth about 11,000 and change. So they lost half of that at that time. They lost half of that, and they lost about $5,700 per Bitcoin, per block that they created. They lost about $5,700 in total in U.S. dollar value. They lost 6 1/4 Bitcoin. I'm sorry, they lost 12.5 Bitcoin. That's what they lost. They lost 12.5 Bitcoin. And that represented, we're going to get the big head back here because we're talking math now. And that represented $5,700 that the miners would have to make up somehow. Somehow they would have to raise the price of Bitcoin to make up for that lost revenue. This past halving, what do you guess? What do you think that they lost? How much money do you think that they lost by going from 12.5 Bitcoin reward down to 6 1/4 Bitcoin reward? Huh? They lost a little over $60,000. That's gotta leave a ding, don't you think? That's gotta hurt. It's gotta hurt. Now my understanding, and at least what I've seen, a lot of the exchanges now are raising their fees. I would imagine that miners will also raise fees on top of fees. I would also imagine that many miners are going to drop out of the game. They simply cannot afford anymore. See, because the cost of actually producing a Bitcoin, of all the Bitcoins that were created last year, or in the past 4 years, or per year, let's say, something on the order of, what was it? $7 billion? I think that's what it was. The cost of producing those Bitcoin was 76%. 76%. That's how much it cost to produce it. I don't know of any other commodity that costs that much to produce. That is if you want to consider Bitcoin a commodity. 76%. Now, they've lost a good portion of that revenue. So, wouldn't that make it underwater? It's got to be. Bitcoin right now has got to be underwater. The cost of producing Bitcoin, now this is the average cost. I know that there are some places like in China where they don't pay for electricity, or it's government subsidized. So they, in fact, could exert some kind of coup, I guess, because they have over 51%. Over 51% of all the hashing power and miners out there. Oh, it's more than 51% in terms of hash power. Their hash power is orders of magnitude greater than the next largest demographic, the United States. More than an order of that's an order of magnitude that's over 10 times. China owns Bitcoin. And if you own Bitcoin, then you own something. You don't own it. You think you own something that is owned by China, who control it because they have all the hashing power. They have the cheapest cost to produce. That means everybody else is underwater. So if there are miners that are going to go out of business, it's very, very unlikely they're going to be in China. Much more likely that they're going to be in other countries where the cost has now exceeded the reward. The cost has exceeded the reward. The cost of producing Bitcoin has exceeded the reward for the vast majority of miners. How can they stay in business? What is in it for them? Is their only hope to try to inflate Bitcoin somehow? Is that what their plan is? To inflate Bitcoin, to artificially push the price up? But what will that do? How will that help them? If they're true to Bitcoin and they only live in a Bitcoin world where everything is valued in Bitcoin, it won't help them at all. The only way it will help them is to convert it into worthless fiat. That's the only way it can possibly help them. To turn it into worthless fiat. Imagine that. They will have to run to fiat in order to save themselves. They will be subservient to China, who now holds all the power in Bitcoin. People aren't talking about this. Why aren't they talking about this? Iceman says China will drop out of the mining business, and basement boys will mine off of their Xbox while playing in augmented reality. No. There are not enough Xboxes that they could put together that would could possibly compete. The cost would be so high. So high. That's right, that macro signal, though. Who needs friggin' Bitcoin when you've got the macro signal? So, sue the B35. What is sue the B35? I don't know what that means, but got a question. When in a bull market and using a bot, is it okay to leave the stop loss off? Well, that all depends on how much you trust your bot, right? If your bot, like most bots, is worth shit, forget the stop loss. You shouldn't be running the bot at all. I've never seen a successful bot last more than a few months. If you got one, hold on to it. We want a PC signal. We want a PC signal, says Crypto Yo. A pattern cast signal. We have, let's see what we have for tonight. Well, we do know, first of all, that the macro signal that came out on Sunday night has panned out very nicely. Called this Dow drop. And actually that signal was quite a bit stronger than the previous signal that was called on the 18th of the month. The 18th when the 18th of February when all hell broke loose and the market dropped 30%, more than 30%. We called that 2 days before. 2 days. There was no indication that it was going to drop then. 2 days before. And now we've called this one a day before, a day and a half before. What is this fire song? Oh, you don't like it? Those crypto guys getting mad at you. I saw your video with Crypto Blood and others. Yeah, of course they do. Because I'm always right and they're always wrong. Yet they hold on to this attachment to Bitcoin. They hold on to their suffering. And all that brings them is more suffering. Ernie sometimes doesn't show up to his scheduled live feed. This is true. Very busy guy. Not too busy for you guys, though. I try to get here. Sorry if I was late. Sorry if that upset your schedule. Yeah, Bitcoin. All hail China. That's what it's going to be. Oh, the old one. Oh, the old one. Yes. I hope the bottom drops out. I am ready to buy. Is that what you really want, Alex? To buy into a China coin? Because that's what you'll be doing. You'll be buying into a China coin. Is this the beginning of a new low for the Dow? That's a very good question. Now, while the signal that was created, the macro signal, by the way, there will be a new macro signal for sale tomorrow. I'm going to create the product tonight. I mean, this is something that we just can't hold back. It's going to be a separate product. I don't know if it is still included in the Patterncast signals, but it is going to be a separate product. Grenier wants to know, you think the miners will dump with the market again? They've had their run and wondering if I should ring the register. How do they survive? How do they survive if mining now costs more than the reward? What is the incentive? Really? That they're going to hodl that Bitcoin that they create? They're going to hodl it with the hopes that China will run Bitcoin up to give them their fortune. Yeah, right. China is on course for Bitcoin domination. They've already dominated it. Let's see. Let's take a look at here. Yes, we'll look at this map. Oh, a COVID sneeze. Uh-oh. I think I might be coming down with COVID-19. Nah, I doubt it. All right, so we're going to take a look at this hash rate. All right, guess which bar is China? What you're seeing is the average monthly share of total hash rate. Just guess which bar is China. Oh, yeah, that's more than it is. Is it more than 10 times? It's close to it. Close to 10 times that of the United States. Man, look at that. That's amazing. Let's see. We can look at the China provinces. The Xinjiang province is dominating, followed by Sichuan, Nai Mongol, Yunnan, Beijing, Zhejiang, Sanji, Gansu. Unbelievable. And this is what you want. You want Bitcoin. You want to own a piece of China, right? You want to hold on to something that that China has you by the balls when you hold on to it. They reach their hand out out from under the Bitcoin and grab your balls and squeeze it and say, "We own you." That's right. Let's all hail China. Because it's Bitcoin. It can't possibly be taken over by another country, even though they have 10 times the hash rate of any other country. They have more than 2/3 of all the world's hash rate. China has more than 2/3 of all the world's hash rate. 2/3. More than 2/3. Ernie, do I know anyone in person who got rich off of Bitcoin? I know people who are already rich that made a lot of money off of Bitcoin. And then they lost it all because they didn't listen to me. So I had a client, and he invested about $6 million in Bitcoin and other crypto. Ran it up to $36 million, then asked me what he should do. And I said, "You got to sell it." And he says, "No, we can't sell it." He says, "Help us trade it. Help us hedge it with CME futures." And I said, "Well, that's the reason why it went up, because of the CME futures. And now it's going to be short. You have to sell it." They said, No. I said, "Okay, do me this one favor. Go and see if you can sell any of it. Any of it." Because at the time, back in early 2018, there wasn't a single broker out there that would do a transaction over $100,000. And they're sitting there with $36 million. So they went out and tried, and they came back to me. They said, "Oh, my God, we can't sell it." I said, "Don't worry. I'll hook you up with a ITC broker, or an OTC broker, rather, over-the-counter broker. And we can help you unload some of that." I said, "Why don't you unload at least what you put into it?" And so they did that. Thanked me. But they didn't want to sell the rest. So they decided to trade in and out of it and brought it down to virtually nothing, down to $1 million. Yep, they lost $30 million. $30 million. Such is life. Maybe Satoshi Nakamoto is Chinese intelligence operation. Maybe. Iceman says, "Countries with sanctions are run by dictators. So probably no people's money will be allowed." Well, of course, we also know that China is a communist country, and we know that communists are one thing, if anything. They are murderers. They murder and they lie. That is the best way to sum up China and all communist countries. They are murderers and liars. China has killed more people, actually its own people, than any other regime out there. More than even Russia, more than the Germans killed the Jews, way more. Mao, oh man, he killed at least 100 million. Or maybe it's 90 million. Yep. And those are the people who own Bitcoin by virtue of having and owning 2/3 of the hash rate in the world. Okay, I'm reading some of your comments. What do you think about people like Tim Draper promoting Bitcoin Moon? What's the agenda? He's a fucking idiot. He'll take whatever profit he can get and then hopes that he's left with something. They are under the delusion that Bitcoin is impervious. Absolutely impervious to China. Those fucking fools, man. I bought shares of Apple during the crash and made about 25%. Nothing amazing, but can't complain. Good old Apple. Yeah, Apple's owned by China too. However, they're doing their best to get out of it. They've built a number of robotic factories in the U.S., and they're going to have to move a lot of their manufacturing to the U.S. Let's hope so. I have a feeling if they move to the U.S., we're going to get a much more expensive iPhone, but also a much more reliable one. Please give us some stories. Sotries? I think you meant stories, but wasn't that story a good one? And that's a true story. Lost $30 million fucking dollars. And you know what the worst part of it was? My deal was that I made 10% of whatever I was responsible for them making. So I missed out. Alex says, I'm not holding any, so no dilemma. I'm going to wait and see. Apple sales are way down, I read. Well, of course. They can't make them. They can't ship them. They can't sell them. All the stores are closed. That's going to be an interesting thing. What's an Apple store going to look like when they open up? Oh, man. They're going to go full on fear-mongering. Social distancing. They're going to probably wash your balls before you walk into the store. It's going to be amazing. We should have been just like Sweden. We should have just toughed it out, take our licks, develop herd immunity, and then moved on. Daft Bugger, how you doing? Ernie, if you had $30 million, you wouldn't be a fool like them. You would have sold and living like a king already. That's true. I would have. I begged them to sell. But, it's interesting. But he's got lots of money. He's got a lot more than 30 million, so. In Utah, people are still scared. Stores are open and empty. Yeah, that's too bad. It's really sad to see. In Massachusetts here, I live in Massachusetts, very near Boston. And we're supposed to open up on the 18th, next week. I bought a pool table back in April, and I've been waiting for it to be delivered. It's sitting in a warehouse very close by. I want my pool table. Oh, by the way, when I get the pool table, I'm going to set up streaming, and I'm going to do a lot of these shows from the pool table while playing pool. What do you think of that? You like that idea? I'll do Bitcoin analysis. I'll do market analysis. I'll do social commentary. All on top of the pool table. Apple sales, iPhone sales are down 77%. So how are they making any money? Obviously, their services and Apple Store, online store, are doing very well. I don't see how it can... that makes about... sense. Down 77, about 23% of their sales are services, online stuff, I guess. Because they have zero hardware sales. I guess they could be shipping some stuff, right? They must have some inventory that they can ship. Dex for Sure says, what do you think about U.S. semiconductor companies' manufacturing reliance in TSMC in Taiwan? Will the U.S. government force TSMC to build plants in the U.S.? I don't know that the U.S. government can force anybody to build plants anywhere, but I think... Taiwan technically is not China, but we do not have a swap line with Taiwan. Only look for countries that we have swap lines with, like Korea. Korea we have a swap line with. So I can see us moving manufacturing to Korea and also the U.S. in sort of a bifurcated, decentralized strategy. We are going to get a lot more vending machine stores like Japan. Oh, that's an interesting idea. But that means that you have to touch it when everybody else has touched it. I don't know. Some people are going to freak out with that idea. Unless there's a way that you can do it without touching. You know? The no-touch vending machine. Alex says, as long as there's subsidized unemployment, people are going to pretend to be afraid to go back to work. Yeah, because it's a better deal. It's a better deal to stay at home. Much better deal. Well, I know, because I've got some millennials living with me, also known as my kids. They're not kids, they're adults in their 20s. And they're making more money. Well, my son, he's still working, but remotely. They were going to furlough him, but they decided to keep him on because he's one of their best employees. And he's really upset because he would have made another $200 a week doing nothing rather than doing something for this company that he doesn't like that so much. Now, he likes them, just not so much. And my daughter, she's on unemployment. She was furloughed. She worked for a marijuana dispensary. And she just couldn't work there. The environment was just really sucky. Marijuana dispensaries are hurting. Oh, they're hurting so much. Especially the recreational ones. Vanjara says, once I sign up to your Asymmetric Advisor service, I will get price to get it and out. Trade size, I will get price to get in and out. Trade size, etc. Yeah, I think you are misunderstanding what the service is about. It's not like an alert service. We are investing research, and we build a portfolio. There will be lots of really great asymmetric trades, and you will get the best price to get in, and we'll talk about the best way to get into that price in a tranched method. And yes, we will talk about taking profit as well. So we will be doing all of those things to answer your question. Just not as compressed as, say, a day trade or a swing service. These are more position trades. Our whole intent is to build a portfolio that will have free cash flow and dividends and pay us, and then have a portion of it in speculative plays that will really run up the profit. So that's the plan. It's a much more relaxed way. Actually, it's much more fun because the opportunity to make much bigger gains is there. What do you think of Ethereum's future? Vitalik is trying to launch Ethereum 2.0. Right. My understanding is that he's also going to proof of stake instead of proof of work, which is going to kill it. I mean, let's face it. There is no business in capitalism that can make use of a decentralized economy. Just not going to work. At least not now. And I don't see it happening at first, 2 years ago, I said, give it 2 years. So here we are 2 years later. 2 years later from the time I said give it 2 years. And we're no closer to any kind of cryptocurrency economy. Please tell me that I'm wrong. Is there a cryptocurrency economy out there? Is there a decentralized economy? Are there dApps that I can go to right now to do? I'm sure there are dApps. I'm sure there are. But are they useful? Are they widespread? Of course they're not. I gave it 2 years. I said, give it 2 years. I said, something will probably, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen within 2 years. We're not any closer. I would say, give it another 2 years. Let's see what happens in another 2 years. But a year on the internet is like a dozen years. 2 years is like it's a generation. Pool stream. Yes, we're definitely going to have a pool stream. I have a new table coming in. It's a gold crown 4 with black lacquer side rails and tight pockets. What's called a tournament cut. Pool and weed. Yeah, I don't smoke that much, but we'll grow it. We are growing the weed, as you can see from behind me. There is definitely a presence there. A weed presence. And there's one over there. Wow, lots of comments. I'm having a hard time getting through them all, so I'm sorry if I don't get to everybody's comment. Vending machine with self-cleaning mechanism after every use. You know, I was thinking about something like that, this sort of self-cleaning concept. What about bathrooms? What are they going to do? I was thinking that you could have a bathroom that, you know, when you leave, the bathroom would be hermetically sealed, and then it would just get doused with some kind of disinfectant spray. You know, you leave it, and then when you close the door, you hear... And then a light will come on and say, okay, you can come in. And it will be spick and span. Alex is making a killing on unemployment. That's great. You got 39 weeks, Alex, to figure out what the fuck you're going to do. Because I think that's the limit to unemployment. The no-touch vending machine uses your phone as the interface. But how do you get the shit out of it? How do you get the shit out of it? You still got to touch something. Right? Unless it, you know, serves it up to you on a platter and just puts it in front of your face. Is that what it does? It says here. I think West in general should support Taiwan against Communist China's aggression. It's a democratic country after all. Yeah, I agree. And they've got some great pool players there. The Taiwanese are some of the best pool players in the world. Do I have to watch the previous webinars, or are they already outdated? You don't have to watch anything, man. I do something a little bit different in each webinar, so it's completely up to you whether you watch the previous webinars. I would definitely make sure you go through all the member guides. This gentleman is talking about the Asymmetric Advisor service. That is my investing research service where we invest in resources, resource sector, like gold miners, junior miners, exploratories, other types of mining operations, including silver, nickel, zinc, lithium. And we also are getting involved in cannabis and video gaming. These are some of the things that are going to see the biggest returns. And that's what we do our research in, and also energy as well, pipelines, that sort of thing. So we've got some really good trades out there. We've already made a lot of money in just the month and a half that we've been open. So if you're interested in such a service, it's super cheap for a year subscription. Sign up now. I have 8 spots left for the webinar this weekend. There are 8 spots left. I only take a small group each week. So there are 8 spots left for this weekend. The link is below, asymmetricadvisor.com. Iceman, why dispensaries are hurting? California, they considered essential services. Not all of them. See, some of them are recreational. And so recreational ones are not necessarily considered essential services. The medical ones, yes. They're also hurting because of the debacle they went through with vapes. And that's still a big issue. Although it's taking a back seat to other issues, it's still out there. It's a real problem. And so the vape controversy has hurt most dispensaries dramatically. Will macro signals be part of the AA service? No, but we may talk about them. We may talk about them. It's all, me and Don. So I don't know. It's really not a macro. It's not an asymmetric service. I may talk about it, but it will be a separate service. Digital assets is the way to go. Old Capone. Ernie, what do you think? Will the June oil contract, will it bring it down? Oh, I think what's going to happen is that OPEC is cutting production. It's going to take a long while before we work off the oversupply. And as countries start coming back online and getting back to work, they're naturally going to be using more energy. So I think price will start creeping up. I think it's creeping up now a little bit faster than it really should. But expect to see some jumps in price. They're going to be forward-thinking. What do I do with the weed that we grow? That's a good question, Daft Bugger. That's a very good question. I don't know. I think there's probably a couple of pounds back in the drying closet. Some of it is used for medicinal purposes, experimentation, edibles, that sort of thing. My daughter is starting a business, so that's about it. Alex says, I have a job to go back to in 39 weeks. I'm self-employed. How are you getting unemployment if you're self-employed? Right? I mean, how does that work? I mean, you still have to pay employment insurance, right? How do you get... that doesn't compute. Why did cannabis stocks drop so badly a couple of years ago? A couple of years ago, they've dropped now. And like I said, a lot of that had to do with the vape industry debacle. That has put a severe damper on it. There's been a slowdown of acceptance in some states. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just not its time. It's getting there. It's very close. Crypto Yo says, I heard vaping was a healthy way to smoke. What's your opinion, Ernie? It depends on how you smoke it, right? If you are using these oil-based cartridges, it's like the worst way to vape. The best way to vape is to take the rosin, the stuff that is heat-pressed directly from the plant, and then you can burn that or vape that and then smoke that. That is the cleanest way to smoke. Some people call it wax, but it's the rosin. There's nothing else introduced into it. It's just pure, almost pure THC. Mario, problem with black market cartridges with questionable additives. Yes, that's what I was talking about. The cartridges with the oil based, usually, no one really knows what's in them. I would stay away from those. And it's not a clean enough smoke for me. I don't smoke that much anyways. I very rarely smoke. Ernie, do you think the market is about to dump larger in the near term? I don't know. However, the macro signal seems to think so. Where are we right now with that macro signal? We've popped back a little bit. We have popped back just a little bit. But the macro signal is down. The Dow is down over 1,000 points. So I don't know. I don't know if we're going to go much lower, but this was a really good call by the macro signal. And let's see. Alex says, they approved it even though I am self-employed. The stimulus bill allowed it. The government is totally backwards right now. Wow, maybe I should get unemployment. Ernie, what do you think about the modern monetary theory? It's fucking bullshit, quite frankly. The allocations, diversified assets, diversified strategies would work good. The modern monetary theory. That's like a whole nother show. Tell you what, why don't I do a whole show on the modern monetary theory and what I think about it? All right. It's too wide and expansive to answer in one question. All right. I want to thank everybody for showing up. Please, please go to the video down below, click the like button right now. Go and click the like button for me. I would really appreciate that. And then share this video on your social media. Alex says, I used to use an herbal vaporizer, which I used to use cannabis. Yes, I like the Volcano, for instance, and other herb vaporizers. That is also one of the cleanest ways to smoke, because you are not smoking any of the plant material. You're simply vaporizing the trichomes on the plant, and then that's what contains the rosin and the THC, and that's what you breathe in. Thank you, everybody, for clicking those likes. Come on, there's 25 of you out there. All of you, click that friggin' like button. Now there's 24. Come on, click the like button. Really appreciate it. So, yeah, I also like herb vaporizers. They're very good. My daughter has one called the Mighty. It's a portable one. It has a nice big battery and it lasts forever, which is really good. They're expensive. That one in particular is pretty expensive, but it seems to perform well. And you can stuff the bowl on top of it, and it lasts for a little while. So it's good. Yeah, I don't like smoking the plant material. Vaporizing the trichomes is the best way to go, or heat pressing and then squeezing the trichomes out so that you have the rosin, that amber colored rosin, and then smoking that is the best way to go. That's the cleanest way. All right. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Please, before you leave, click that like button. Love you. Herbal vapes use a lot less weed, too. Well, they're more efficient. That's for sure. I don't know what you mean by they use less weed. They use less weed than smoking the weed outright, because a lot of the THC is actually stuck on filter material and other materials, and it doesn't make its way into your lungs. The vape does get it all. Yeah, I guess you're right. All right. Time to go. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about the macro signal a little bit more. And if you're interested in the Asymmetric Advisor, it's a fantastic service. It really is. It's a fantastic service. We invest in resource companies, particularly gold miners, junior miners, and exploratory companies, as well as other precious metal miners and base metals like nickel, zinc, even aggregates, right? We're also investing in oil pipelines, that sort of thing. And we will get into cannabis and the biggie, video games. I really have high hopes for video games. I think it's going to be a booming industry. All right. Thank you all. Take care. Have a good night. It's been real. Oh, I have to answer this one thing. Faraz Raz says, even though I do not agree with a lot of your political ideologies, I still love you, Ernie. Learn a lot from you. So you should know that I may seem way to the right of some people, but I'm not. I'm actually more classically liberal. I am more of a constitutionalist libertarian. So now that you learned that, but thank you very much. Bye. Hey, how you doing?